He is the only four-time world heavyweight champion and the first to win the title of absolute champion in 4 weight categories. Evander, already from childhood, declared himself and his intentions to conquer the boxing world, and at the age of 7 won the Boys Club tournament, the only man to defeat the Iron Jersey twice. A fighter who relied on a cool and sober mind for his entire career, as well as tactics that eventually helped him rise to the top of his boxing career. Today, we're going to tell you about how one member of the Boxing Hall of Fame, achieved recognition and rose to his pedestal. Today we will talk about the widely recognized Evander Holyfield and his merits in the world of boxing. According to the classics of our channel, initially we'd like to look into the childhood of the fighter and see how he became so great. Young Holyfield was born on October 19, 1962. Since childhood, the future star grew up in a small house, in a poorly provided family. Evander was born the youngest child in a family of 9 brothers and sisters, but because of this, he was encouraged to pranks and pranks. He was raised mostly by his mother, Laura Holyfield, and his grandmother. Being religious, the woman taught the heir to go to his goal, to be disciplined and achieve their own, which in the future will help not to put down the future star. At the age of 4 years, the boy moved with his family to Atlanta, Georgia. During these years, the child was characterized by a soft, calm character. From a small age, the child began to engage in sports in the local children's club. The kid tried himself in several sports directions at once, but the boxing section aroused a special interest in the child. The coach of the novice boxers was Carter Morgan. An experienced athlete and a good coach immediately discerned in the hopeful boy potential. At the age of 13, the teenager qualified for the first Youth Olympic Games. 2 years later, the young man became the champion of the Southeast region. When the young boxer turned 16 years old, Carter passed away. This event was a blow for the guy. He wanted to quit classes. However, the student came to the fact that leaving would be an insult to the philosophy of his favorite coach and continued to fight. Time passed, and the promising wrestler performed at the 1983 Pan American Games in Caracas. Where he won a silver medal, losing in the final to the world champion from Cuba, Pablo Romero. It is worth emphasizing that the hero of our video was treated unfairly. Evander led on points, but the victory was not counted because he did not hear the end of the round and struck a blow. But Holyfield did not give up, but only on the contrary, found the motivation to prove to everyone how good a boxer he is. The cherished dream of the young man at that time was to participate in the Olympic Games in Los Angeles. In 1984, the athlete was able to realize it and won a bronze medal at the Games. By this time, the statistics of the young man was impressive. On his account, 160 victories, 76 by knockout, and 14 defeats. Professional career began for the star of the ring in the fall of 1984. Then Holyfield defeated Lionel Byram. The fight, as is customary in the old school of boxing, was held under all the rules and lasted all 5 rounds. The opponents showed a very clean fight and lasted all the rounds.
The sternest test of his entire boxing career. In his first professional fight, he survived the gameness and the ability of Lionel Byarn of Philadelphia. We pat them both on the back, ladies and gentlemen. This is only the first fight.
On January 20th, 1985, the master of the fight defeated Eric Winbush in 6 rounds, and already on March 13th laid Fred Brown. Evander decided the fate of the opponent in the first round. A month later, he brought Mark Rivera into the ring. 1986 Alabama native began the year with a triumph over former world heavyweight title challenger Shisanda Moody. This fight went according to all the canons of boxing. Beautiful escapes from blows in combination with very good technique made themselves known both on one side and on the other.
Not the kind of fighter traditionally who has been able to be knocked out with one punch. You have to put punches together like Holyfield has done right there, and this fight is over.
It should be. That's the East.
Evander knocked out his opponent so that he couldn't even get up and had to be brought to consciousness.
And without even beginning the count.
Then he defeated Jesse Shelby. The fight was pretty fast and energetic.
First, it was Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. He didn't want to fight in Atlanta, so they brought it here to Corpus Christi. Muhammad dropped out with a hand injury. Then it was Ricky Parkey. Then Michael Brothers of Chicago. He decided not to come, and here is Shelby.
From the very beginning, the fighters got into a clinch, from which they quickly separated. The opponents did not spare each other and went into the exchange quite strong blows, without thinking about the consequences.
One of the challenges for Holyfield, obviously, is the fact that he's preparing against right-handed sparring partners and he got a left-handed opponent.
Holyfield taking a couple of shots to the body.
However, Holyfield put his opponent down with quite a clear punch, and the referee counted down the time.
Could go, and he said, yeah. And on we go.
You'll wait a long time before you hear a fighter say no. They're just not bred to it. But this fight should be stopped. Go here. Bruson's going to give him a count. The round is over in terms of time. 7.
However, the hero of our video, after the fight, came up and hugged his opponent, thus showing that this is just a sport.
Jesse Shelby gave Holyfield some punches.
And then he defeated Terry Mims. The fight immediately started with an exchange of opponents, and the whole first round they exchanged some pretty hard punches.
Heavyweight opponents, although he is really a cruiserweight or a light heavyweight. Back stories. Terry Mims is one of those comeback stories. In May of 1980, he was riding a motorcycle. He was hit by a car. He suffered a fractured spine.
Leonard Adams, his good friend, who was there to help save his life that night. Say hello to Leonard Adams of the main post office in Cleveland. One of the reasons that Mims is here to tell the tale, to step in the ring with Evander Holyfield.
The fight was clearly on the side of young Holyfield, who was pressing and moving away from the onslaught of his opponent. The fight ended with a crushing knockout of Terry Mims and unconditional victory. Subsequently, according to the knockout artist, the hardest battle of his career took place. In a fight against Dwight Muhammad Kiawi, which was named by The Ring as the best heavyweight fight of the 1980s, Holyfield became world champion.
Mims asked Holyfield for an autograph.
And then when he also asked you for an autograph.
Kawhi, due to his experience, knew that because of his height, it would be very disadvantageous for him to exchange in the stand-up. So he tried to get into a clinch with his opponent and focused a lot of work on the body.
Like the fighting style you're seeing in Mims.
short, choppy punches by Holyfield. As Mims now coming back here in the fourth round, showing some spark, the uppercut from the right.
However, Evander was able to fight off his opponent's attacks with his speed, although not always. At the beginning of the third round, Holyfield seemed to be replaced. He exploded and went forward like a tank. During this fight, Holyfield threw 1,290 punches. Evander lost 7 pounds for this fight, but the victory, although not by unanimous decision of the judges, but he still took.
Defeated, Evander, real deal, Holyfield. Holyfield right here, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, we'll see the real deal in another couple of months. So now the sights are...
For 15 rounds, the opponents did not spare neither themselves nor their opponent, and showed a beautiful fight. After a while, the fight with Carlos de Leon took place. This fight, as well as all the previous ones, is a standard of pure boxing. The opponents had won respect for each other and took judges' points solely for skill. The fight ended on the 8th round by referee's decision. No one tried to hurt anyone or make some kind of show.
Lewis getting smarter and go fighter. When he went 10 rounds fighting this style against Mercer in Madison Square Garden.
Couldn't miss if he just jumped in a Lord Patterson left hook.
And Lewis produces some good infighting as he drives the opponent out.
They just came out and showed a beautiful fight. The victory was awarded to Evander. The athlete that day became the absolute world champion in the first heavyweight. Significant was the fight with Mike Tyson. The fight took place in November 1996. Although fans of athletes expected it back in 1991, the first time the meeting was postponed because of Tyson's injury and after he went to prison on charges of rape. In the ring, Holyfield won. From the first minutes of the fight, although Iron Mike began to skillfully press Evander, but it became clear that he was stronger than him. He calmly absorbed all of Tyson's punches, while the latter had a hard time with the fight.
Keep in mind, Mitch Halpern was criticized for not stopping the Ruelas-Garcia fight last year, in which Garcia died. We'll see if he's overly cautious. And as expected, Mike Tyson comes out fast.
As soon as he hit him, he got his attention. And Mike looks like he's going to take his time. He's so strong that it's unbelievable how difficult it is to move Mike.
Many people thought that by the time of the fight, Tyson is not the same, but still the aura of a strong fighter played its role. However, Holyfield didn't seem to care. He was not afraid to change and go into clinches, from which he often came out victorious. Evander skillfully responded to each of Tyson's punches. According to Holyfield himself, he did not expect Mike to attack so often with a straight right. In the second round, Mike was involuntarily caught against the ropes and missed a hard left hook.
Tyson against the ropes.
I'll tell you what, the crowd thought that Mike was hurt. That might have been a good shot.
Combination by Holyfield to the head of...
And in the third round, Holyfield took full advantage of his power advantage, and more often, clinched Mike in clinches. In the final third of the fight, Tyson looked much more tired than his opponent. It was the second defeat of his career.
Close a lot. It was Evander's not retreating. It was the tail end of my honeymoon in November 8th.
The most exciting moment was Holyfield's blow to Mike's chest, which knocked him down. Then the triumphant was offered a rematch. The opponents met again in the summer of 1997. The meeting was watched by a huge audience. According to the organization conducting the fight, Ganararia, 2 fighters became at that time the largest in the world. Mike's PR company achieved that the referee of the last fight was replaced because of bias to Mike, and the new referee was the legendary Mills Lane, who was by then one of the best referees in all of boxing. For this reason, in the beginning, Holyfield was reprimanded for the fact that 2 times he got into a clinch with Mike, who in turn looked quite brisk and dynamic in comparison with the last fight. Toward the end of the first round, Evander went into the fight, and it became evident how Iron Mike's initial vigor weakened. The second round began with Holyfield's defense, and later he began to press-senjing, which Tyson drew the referee's attention to. However, it did not help him. He was poorly prepared, both physically and mentally. In the third round, there was something that made this fight famous all over the world. The fighters enter the clinch where Holyfield hits Tyson's head, but he in turn bites off part of his ear. The referee took 2 points off Tyson, but the latter claimed that it was the result of a punch and not a bite. However, the fight continued, and Tyson again bit Holyfield's left ear. Lane decided to stop the fight. Tyson, however, disagreed, and through the crowd made his way to Holyfield to finish what he had started. Photos of the momentous moment quickly spread around the world. A couple of days later, Mike apologized in an interview after the public was looking forward to the fight against WBC world champion Lennox Lewis. The event took place in March 1999. Professionals and outside observers noted that the Briton dominated his American counterpart throughout, but the judges made a scandalous decision and gave a draw. A rematch became a matter of time. 6 months later, the rivals saw each other again in the ring.
Lennox the 6th round because he was busier. There's no question. Lennox didn't punch, but he's punching his
field off and lands the up out against Evander Holyfield, trying to land an uppercut from distance.
Oh, Evander is staying there in the pocket, weathering the stone.
Now Lewis smiles as Holyfield comes side.
That hurt Lewis.
It was Lennox leaned.
This time the judges gave Lewis a complete victory, and with it, the title of absolute world champion. And the 2000th fighter continued his career, and his next clash was with Lou Savarese. In this fight, Holyfield began to press his opponent in the first round to see how he would respond to his brashness.
And then take advantage of being small. Lou Savarese figured that Evander Holyfield wanted this fight to end early, and he would like to extend it into the later rounds. But Lou Savarese dropped Buster Douglas in the first round, so he is still an opportunist.
Savarese big and tall, not doing much here to get things going.
And until he does slow it down, it was a left hand that pulled it through. Head came up later.
The fighters traded punches, and it was obvious from the outside that Lou was clearly not a candidate to counter Evander. The entire first round went on Holyfield's terms, and Lou couldn't even counter him. The opponents stood in a clinch. The second round followed the same pattern, with Lou not being able to counter the experienced fighter.
That cut has caused the ending of the fight. So he's already cut in the first round as Savarese. Holyfield probably won the first round. Holyfield on the assault.
He's getting to him. He's really getting to him with the power on the inside, the right hand, and then getting through Savarese.
However, in the third round, Lou gathered himself and countered Evander's pressure, to which he led in 2 rounds, was a little shocked. And from this fight, it is worth highlighting the 4th round, in which Holyfield took back the initiative and began to punish the enemy with powerful series of punches for every mistake.
Finisher. Here he tries to do it. Savarese holds him at bay for a while, but Holyfield is on him. Good ripping hook to the body after Savarese had the head covered. Tremendous right hand and a left hand sets up the downfall. Beautiful right hand by Evander Holyfield. That was flush. That was highlight reel material.
The fight was definitely Holyfield's, and he won by experience rather than strength and stamina. Next up was a fight against Sultan Ibragimov. Sultan approached this fight at his peak. He was younger and more physically prepared, but Holyfield had a lot of experience on his side. Evander is the kind of fighter that is always ready to show his skills, but the age made itself felt in this fight. The first round, the fighters were at a distance, and only at the beginning of the last minute, Holyfield shortened the distance, and the fighters got into a clinch. The fighters were tied for the first round, and it wasn't clear who would win. The fight lasted 12 rounds, where the opponents did not spare themselves. Holyfield, despite his old age, showed good series, but his opponent also defended well and kept his punches. At the end of the fight, Holyfield acted very dangerously, but it still paid off. Despite a good fight from Evander, the victory was awarded to Sultan Ibragimov by a well-deserved unanimous decision of the judges. Also, Evander faced Nikolai Valuev. Holyfield had a very difficult fight. At that time, the American star was 45 years old, and he faced a young Russian giant at that time. Due to his height and weight, Valuev was successful in exchanges, but he lacked agility and stamina, thanks to which Evander was able to easily get out from under the pressure of Nikolai. Evander managed to successfully carry out his attacks.
Hands of the 46-year-old Evander Holyfield. As we approach the half-minute mark, it's clear.
On a right hand, a rare, and look, he's trying right now. He's tired right now.
But he also missed a lot of strong series from Nikolai. The judges gave their preference to the Russian. In 2011 was the last professional fight of the athlete.
And a rare, and look, he's trying right now. He's tired right now.
And still,
wow,
WBA
this is
heavyweight champion of the world from Russia with love, Nikolai Valuev.
Against it was planned that Alexander Povetkin would defend the WBA title in a confrontation against the 48-year-old Evander. The fight was to be held in Zurich, but in the course of preparation, the Russian fighter chose another opponent, Cedric Boswell. In subsequent years, Holyfield entered the ring in exhibition fights. According to experts, the athlete managed during his career to retain a firm, recognizable style, honed skill, and rejection of straightforward brute force. In September 2001, Oscar de la Hoya was supposed to fight with former UFC champion Vitor Belfort. However, the former contracted a coronavirus infection and missed the event. Organizers quickly found a replacement for the American, 58-year-old Holyfield. In the fight, the native of Alabama lost by technical knockout, not lasting 2 minutes. All the same, old age made itself felt. The boxer moved slowly and attacked little. But still, the experience was visible. Personal life. In the personal life of Evander Holyfield, there were many women. The first wife of the statuesque athlete with a height of 189 centimeters was Paulette Bowen. The marriage of the couple lasted from 1985 to 1991. The woman gave the boxer 2 sons. In the same period, the mother insisted that the ringmaster met his father. The men quickly found a common language, and according to the fighter, communication continued until the death of the parent. The second wife of the knockout is Janice Etzen. Marriage, like the first, lasted a short time, from 1996 to 2000. The third wife of the champion was Candy Calvana Smith. The couple lived together from 2003 to 2012. Evander has a total of 11 children by 6 different women. One of his sons, Evan, followed in his father's footsteps and became a professional boxer. Another heir, Elijah, played college soccer at the University of Georgia. Now the athlete continues to follow the events in world boxing. In September 2022, Hardcore Boxing offered Mike Tyson to fight with his longtime rival, Holyfield. The head of the promotion, Anatoly Soljanov, offered boxers $10 million and $1.5 million respectively. Awards and achievements: WBA World Champion in the first heavyweight division, IBF World Heavyweight Champion, WBC Heavyweight Champion of the World, WBA World Heavyweight Champion, WBA World Heavyweight Champion, WBA World Heavyweight Champion, BF World Heavyweight Champion. March 3, 2001, WBA World Heavyweight Champion. Evander's career turned out to be very exciting and interesting, and we are glad that we were able to tell you about it. He had both ups and downs. However, he deserved his place in history. If you liked the video, we will be glad if you subscribe to our channel. Also like this video and leave a comment about which fighter we should make the next video.